Tino, babe.
Hey, yo, check, yo, hey,
Keys Cartel.
yo, check.
Hi guys, my name is Yumi Durinde and I guess welcome to my channel. So I'm a newly qualified mortgage advisor with almost 3 years experience working within the wider banking industry. And over the last 15 years. Now over those 3 years, and with my CMAP qualification, I've picked up quite a bit of knowledge and information about housing, mortgages, investment, finance, banking, you name it. Now, I also noticed that in England, it's not really something that's taught, because even though it's such a fundamental part of our society and almost everyone has a bank account, almost everyone wants to buy a house, start letting, stuff like that, but it's not something that we're taught. You have to go and find that information yourself through YouTube. So I said, since I know this information and I know people want to know about it, why don't I kind of package the whole thing, put some razzle dazzle and make an educational and entertaining YouTube channel. So if you want to learn about mortgages, financing, banking, then I got you. So as this is my first video, I don't really know what exactly you guys want me to talk about, but let's just start talking about money. How much do I need to buy my first house? This is a question I've asked so many times from my friends, and the thing when it comes to mortgages, there isn't many generic answers because it always depends. It depends on your situation and your circumstance. Something I'm going to do that's going to be slightly different to most other YouTubers out there is I'm going to be as honest and practical as possible. And I'm going to tell you the assumptions I'm going to make in order to give you these answers. Because like I said, not everyone's situation is the same. So in this situation and this with given these circumstances, this information will be applicable, but not in all circumstances. And that's the issue I see with most of the YouTubers. They just talk and it's like, yes, that's correct in a certain situation, but it's not correct in all situations. So you need to drop that little caveat that this isn't for all people. So that's what I'm going to try and make and of course I'm qualified, so I kind of know what I'm talking about at the same time. But if there's one thing that I'd recommend that you do if you are actually looking to go and buy a house, is to get your pen and paper, read your book, watch YouTube to family and friends, subscribe to his channel, like, comment and share, follow him on Instagram, Cash App, I mean, if you want to, innit? But do your research, do your findings, get your bearings, and then go and seek independent financial advice or speak to a mortgage advisor, because someone who's qualified can then take all that information you gathered or that you're aware of and tell you what information is actually applicable to yourself. Because like I said, there isn't much generic information or generic answers when it comes to mortgage advice. There's a lot of gray areas. There's a lot. So that's what I'll definitely say. Do your findings, but then seek some independent advice or speak to a mortgage advisor. At the end of this video, the goal is that you be able to find out in pounds and pence how much you're gonna need to save up roughly to actually buy a property. Alright, so let's get started. The deposit. This is the money that you're gonna save up to put down towards the purchase of the property. So if you look around in the market, you might see in the news or on bank stores, it will say we're offering 80%, 90%, even 95% loan to value products. Now, loan to value briefly just means what proportion of the property value is the bank going to give to you as a loan. So for example, if the property was worth 100,000 and they're saying that we're going to give you an 80% product, that means they're going to lend you 80% of 100,000, and the remaining, the 20%, that 20,000 is what you're going to need to bring, and that's what you're going to need to save up to. Okay, so it doesn't matter what the property is worth, it's still the same calculation. If it's 95%, we're going to give you 95%, 95,000 for example, and you bring 5,000 to purchase a property worth 100,000. So that's the deposit. That is a very, very brief explanation of what the mortgage provider offers in terms of products and loan to values. But if you want to know more about that, let me know in the comments, and I'm sure I'll be happy to make another video. Okay, so that's all good in practice, but let's be a little bit more practical, okay? So here is James. James is 25. This is one of my friends, but this is James for today, all right? And there's one thing you need to know about James. He's an average guy, okay? Average looking, average taste, average job. There's nothing particularly interesting about James. right here, yeah? But James is looking to buy a house and he's trying to find out how much does he need to save up for his deposit. As a first-time buyer, in Manchester in particular, you buy for around 176,000. Assuming that there are 90% loan-to-value products out there, you're gonna have to save up 10%, which is 17,600. And as you can see, that's not too hard to save up given it enough time. Okay, so that's how much James needs to save to buy a property, most likely if he was an average person in Manchester. Okay, now again, if you want me to talk a bit more about the different schemes that James could use to build up that deposit, help to buy ISAs, lifetime ISAs, comment below, let me know. Comment below, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to make a video about that. A bit more realistic. Okay, so let's say James, our brother James and Lord, is able to gather that 17,000 he needs for the deposit. That means he would have a mortgage balance if the property was worth 176k of roughly 159,000, give or take. Now, very, very loosely, mortgage providers still use the income multiple to calculate how much that they can lend you. So that tends to be around 4 or 5% or 4 or 5 times your net annual salary. Again, this is very, very simply put. If you want a bit more information about how banks calculate how much they're going to lend you based off your income and what kind of things are important to banks when it comes to affordability in an application, comment below, let me know. Let's work backwards then. 159,000 divided by 4.5 will give you roughly around 35,000. Okay, so James here would need to earn at least 35,000 or around 35,000 to be eligible for a mortgage worth 159,000. Now, like we said, James is average, okay, and the average person in Manchester actually earns roughly around, in his age range, around 26,000. 26,000 times by 4.5 is roughly around 117,000. So he should be eligible for a mortgage worth 117,000. And like we said, we're looking at a 90% loan to value product in this case. So 117 must represent 90%. And if you work it backwards, he could probably get a property worth 130,000 with a 10% deposit, which is 13,000. And there you go. Okay. And like I said, here are a few ways you could probably save that amount of money given enough time. So in terms of James saying he wants to buy a property, this is how much he might need realistically if he was average to buy a property in Manchester. Still an estate agent. So your solicitor is the person that's going to basically do all the work in the background needed for you to take ownership of this property and say, I'm one that owns this land or this house. They're going to handle the contracts, communicate with the lender, with the seller, estate agents, bankruptcy check, searches. They're your guy. They're just your general guy, your go-to guy for all the legal work that needs to be done. That's why it's very important that you pick a good solicitor that's going to be actually get the job done correctly and get it done quickly as well. Now, solicitors tend to cost or charge around 1 to 3% of the purchase price. And some even do a kind of no sale or no purchase, no fee, or some are even doing a flat fee now. But generally speaking, all the fees incorporated, I did a bit of research, it's around 4 to 1,500. And when I actually did a quote for James here, our lad, his came up to around £1,270 for him to buy in Manchester, the mortgage. Okay. Now, there's no two ways around it. When it comes to the mortgage, there's quite a bit of fees that you're gonna have to pay just because. That's just the way it is, okay? They're gonna give you 100,000, 200,000, they're gonna make you pay money up front, okay? Now, in some cases, they do have promotional offers, so not all of these fees are gonna be applicable. However, James here in his average ourselves, he's not that guy. He's gonna pay them, okay? So we'll start with the arrangement fee. Now, the arrangement fee is basically the fee for the lender to start processing your application. Now, that roughly costs between £50 to £200, but again, it does depend on who you're actually taking your mortgage out with. But that's the arrangement fee. And there's a product fee. Now, with the product fee, you're basically gonna pay money or you may pay money to secure a specific feature or specific interest rate that you're gonna then put onto the money that you're gonna borrow from the bank. So this is roughly gonna determine how much interest you're gonna pay or how your mortgage will actually work. So roughly this can cost between nothing, because there are some with no fees. It could go up to like around 2,500. Then there's the valuation fee. Okay, the valuation fee is basically the lender wants to know if the property is worth them putting money on and lending you money. And because the lender wants to know this, they're gonna get someone to look at the property and you're gonna pay for it. Don't ask questions. That's gonna cost roughly around 250. But again, in some situations, the lender can waive that fee. But he's paying that fee, okay? And then there is another valuation fee, which is the valuation that you're probably gonna wanna do to make sure that the property you're buying and spending all this money on is actually gonna be worth what you're looking to put down. So this is a much bigger thing. There's so many different types of valuations. There's full building surveys, condition reports, basic valuations. There's so many that you can do. It warrants a whole video in itself. So for now, just know it's money that you're gonna wanna put down so that someone can check the property to check that it is something that it is basically worth what you think it's worth, and any possible issues that might come from the property that you can't see yourself basically. And that can roughly cost around 250 all the way up to like 1,300, but it depends on what you do, how much property is worth, and where in the country you're buying it. There's so many factors, but that is a valuation fee that you're gonna wanna do for yourself, besides the one you're gonna do for the lender. And then in some situations, there's a broker fee, which is basically the hard work that your advisor is gonna put in. They're gonna want a little bit in return for that. That can roughly be around nothing, because in some cases it's free advice, up to around £500. So in conclusion, James and his average ass self probably need to pay £150 for the arrangement fee, probably £999 for a product fee, let's say £250 for the basic valuation for the lender, another £700 for a home buyer's report for himself, and then let's say £250 for a broker fee just tossed in there. So grand total of around £2,349 would need to leave his account for the mortgage cost. Okay. Now stamp duty. Now with stamp duty, it's very, very simple. It's very, very simple. Every single time that money leaves and moves hands in England, HMRC are dying for it. They're gagging for it, mate. They can't wait. They're like, oh, you wanna buy? Go buy the house. Go buy it. Because you're gonna be buying this property now. And again, you're gonna be giving money and taking ownership of this land. HMRC want a slice, okay? Now, because James is the first time buyer, more times he won't have to pay this because the property is worth 130,000. Now, stamp duty works like income tax in terms of there's different bands and you pay tax on the money within that band. So because it's 130,000 and he's a first time buyer, he would actually get the relief and he wouldn't pay any stamp duty. But let's assume that he isn't a first time buyer. He would pay only £100 in stamp duty, which isn't too much, but is more than nothing. So anyway, so in conclusion, that's basically it. That's all the things he's gonna need or the things he's gonna need to pay for to buy a property in Manchester at his age, worth 130,000 roughly. So in conclusion, that is a 13k deposit. Then that's 1,270 in solicitor fees, 2,349 in the mortgage costs or the mortgage fees, and then £100 in stamp duty, give or take. Okay, so a grand total of around 16,619. And again, you can kind of see how he could raise that amount of money up if he was looking to go ahead with an application and the time it's going to take. So that's basically it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was beneficial. Hope you had your pen and paper, and I hope you've subscribed, Cash App. Okay, but yeah, like I said, I've kind of gone through all the information here very briefly. So if you want more information on one thing in particular, comment below, message me on Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. Just let me know. And if there's any feedback as well, it's my first video technically, so I'm much appreciated. Just drop me a message. And yeah, so till next time, bye.